But look at that, Roswell's on the title screen. I didn't plan this. Guess we're going to carry on with Roswell's Day 10. It's been a while without Password, I know. Just the way the updates have been going, I'm trying to spread things out a bit so we don't have too long a gap. And I don't think I did it very well this time. But as I'm recording this, it's going to be a couple more weeks for new public updates, so we'll be doing stuff then when they come out. So we haven't got too much longer to wait. So, now I've just filled you in all those details. Let's just pick things up from last time. Day 10. I don't know how long I was asleep for, how quickly I fell asleep once I was conscious of it. When I opened my eyes, I lay there for a few moments, my body feeling like it was underwater. Like most mornings, I was on autopilot, swinging my legs out of the side of my bed and stretching. Coffee. I liked my room. It was on the top floor of our house, like an attic of sorts, but also had a bathroom and a small study nook. The whole floor was basically mine, as small as it was. Mom and Dad are downstairs, but that's where the living room, kitchen and other rooms were, obviously. I was halfway down the stairs where I could smell it, or at least I thought I could smell it. That smoky scent that came with freshly made bacon. Reminded me I was hungry. And as much as I felt a little guilty about eating bacon while also being friends with Roswell, I knew there was only one other person in the house that would be cooking at this time of morning. As I hit the bottom of the stairs, I became acutely aware of something wrong though. Something very wrong. Looking towards the kitchen, I gulped, almost scared of who I'd find on the other side of the doorway. I wandered closer, closing my eyes, bracing myself on the doorway. The closer I got, a chill ran down my spine when I could recognize the familiar, cheery humming. The humming stopped, replaced instead with a low chuckle. As I opened my eyes, there he was, standing in front of the stove as if nothing was wrong. "What's wrong, sport? You look like you've seen a ghost." He laughed. He was laughing. And all I could do was stand there watching in shock. If my feet didn't suddenly feel weighed down with an anchor, I would have run. "I'll sleep all right? Breakfast is almost done. Take a seat and I'll serve you up." Wait, no. No? Well, that's a surprise. "Oh, coffee. How can I forget? Like father, like son, right? Give me a sec, I'll sort you out." "No, not that. Dad, You what? Have a bad dream?" I found myself drawn to the table, and the next thing I knew I was sitting down looking at my dad as he continued to work in the kitchen. "No, not a bad dream, I think." "Well, what's got you down, little bean? Sore feet? Toothache? Have a fight with your boyfriend?" Wait, I don't have a boyfriend." "No? Huh, could have fooled me." He wandered over, setting down a mug in front of me, the darkest roasted coffee you could imagine. "You still look half asleep. Drink up." I reached out for the mug and found it warm, but I frowned all the same. I needed answers. This was so confusing. "Dad?" "Yes, son?" "What day is it today?" "I don't really know. Why?" I shook my head, opting instead for another approach. "What about the date?" "I don't know that either. Would you believe I forgot to charge my phone? Mom's already left for work though, so it's just us today." "No, that's not..." He doubled back to the side of the kitchen, bringing over a plate of scrambled eggs and bacon. Sitting next to me, he handed me the plate and I watched him take the first mouthful. It was less a plate and more like a shared platter of food with how much he made, but Dad was always a fan of big breakfasts. "Dad?" "Yes?" "What's your name?" "My name? How you know my name, sport?" He wiped his mouth with his arm, gesturing at me with a fork. "What's your name then? You should know mine already, given it's the same, bud." I grumbled, folding my arms. "That's not what I meant." "What's the matter, Dave? Normally we're fighting over the bacon by now. You haven't even had a banana or touched your coffee, so something's up." I whined, not wanting to bring it up. "You're real, right? Like, you're actually here, right?" "Well, of course I am. Why wouldn't I be?" "Oh, someone looks like he's needed some fatherly advice, though. And some breakfast, so eat up while I impart upon you some wisdom." I kept my eyes on him as I reached for a banana. I didn't make a move beyond that, still feeling the whole ordeal surreal given how real this all felt. What do you do when life gives you lemons, Dave? Well, you could make lemonade if they're too sour. I know a few guys who just eat them as is. Embrace what makes them different is all. I don't... No? Not relevant here? What about the one about the birds and the bees? Although all things considered, I don't think I need to worry about you fretting over where babies come from, do I? I chuckled as he did a flinch reaction, fighting it off and trying to remain composed. No, Dad, I just want to know one thing, and you have to be honest, okay? Please? Well, of course, son, anything for you. What's up? I think I'm in trouble. Well, that's not good. What can I do to help? I don't think you can anymore. Because you're dead, right? He just looked at me unflinching as I asked. He just grabbed a strip of bacon and flicked me on the nose with it before speaking. That's not very nice. Besides, I'm plenty helpful. Reckon I could help regardless of where I am. So what's got you down? Why are you in trouble? I gulped, whining. Dad, I just have this feeling I'm going to let someone down and they're going to die because of me. Well, that doesn't sound good. What should I do? Well, that's quite the pickle. If it's that serious, I don't think there's really anything you can do. Well, what if they die? Well, everyone dies, son. But if you do your best, I don't think anyone can be mad. I know I wouldn't be. But Dad... No but sport, just do your best. He got up from his chair and wandered over to the kitchen, stopping in front of the coffee pot to pour himself another mug. Now, anything else I can help you with? But maybe make it less heavy if you can. Well, at least until after you've eaten something. Can I have a hug? Ha, is that all? Of course, son. Just a sec. I watched, shaking as he got closer. I closed my eyes, scared if I was going to feel anything when he reached me. Part of me wanted that familiar touch, an equal part was worried as to what it'd mean if I felt it at all. His steps got closer, the sounds of his footfalls on tile getting louder and louder. Then they stopped. Everything stopped. And when I opened my eyes, I was right where I fell asleep. With the added new sound of Roswell next to me, sprawled on his back and snoring happily to himself. I swore we'd ended up cuddling when we fell asleep. We looked comfortable even with his shirt halfway up his belly. I'd give him more credit. He was trying, if not doing a great job. Well, I was much better. This whole dating thing was new to me too. Not only that, if we were actually dating was something I wasn't clear on. Maybe it's like being told up front that this was how things were. Roswell, you awake? I looked over to him to see if he stirred, and shy of grunting and mumbling something coherent back at me, his snoring resumed without missing a beat otherwise. My mind went back to the dream I just woke up from, and with a sigh I got out of bed. I got dressed and made my way downstairs. It was early than what anyone should really be awake, but I couldn't sleep. Maybe it was before dawn, but I didn't really have the thought to check specifics. When I reached the bottom of the stairs, I yawned, stretching again as I contemplated making coffee and sitting in the dining room. Looking around, I wondered what the chances were of Benson being around that I could offload that chore onto him. After all, that's what butlers were for, right? Still, there's no telling if he's even awake, and even if he was, his duties were to be to Oswin first, right? Thinking it over again, the thought of coffee made my stomach churn. It wasn't Dad's coffee, and for whatever reason, my mind had decided to play that trick on me. Having anything but his blend wouldn't be as fulfilling. Dave? I looked up, seeing Hoss frozen in place, staring at me as if caught off guard. My eyes darted down to the small black device in his hand, and the wire sticking out of it before he shoved it back in his pocket. You're up early? Yeah, what? Why are you up too? What was that anyway? I gestured to his now bulging pocket with one hand while I rubbed my eyes with the other. Oh, nothing important. Just something I had to, Hoss scratched his chin while he looked me over, looking troubled. Just something I had to take care of. Look I was given him must have clued him into the fact I wasn't following, or at the very least wanted more information. Just something Benson asked me about. Oh, alright. Not going to ask me what it was? It's too early. Besides, I get the feeling you're not going to be telling me anyway. A better question, why are you awake? Couldn't sleep. Okay, and the real reason? You seem like you just woke up and didn't want to stay in bed. Which, all things considered, I'd assumed you would have wanted to stay in bed. Huh? Oh, didn't think I'd notice you bunking up with someone. I felt my face go red. Not that it's any of my business, but I heard you were all about the cuddles. Well, yeah, but... Well, why bail? Bad dream? Well, I could take your place if you're worried. I wasn't sure if he was making a joke to cheer me up or was at least a little serious. You gonna be alright? I don't know, maybe I'll go get some fresh air or something. I should be fine. You sure? I really don't. The next moment, Hoss yawned, covering his mouth and stretching his back. You sound like you need sleep. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Well, if you're sure. I'm sure, promise. Well, if you're certain, I'll see you in a few hours after I had myself a little cat nap. Night. He was bounding up the stairs where I'd get another word in. My eyes were trained on the pocket he concealed something in. I wondered what it could have been and what he'd been up to. The morning was crisp and fresh as I stood looking out to the horizon. Perhaps it was the mountain air that made everything seem so alive. I smirked at the irony. Alive. Why was it only recently that the whole concept of mortality was being brought up again? Someone's messing with me, right? Sighing out, I ran my hands through my fur, thinking back to my dream. At least I'm pretty sure it was just a dream. Losing Dad was hard enough and something I forced down on a daily basis. Something that just made it easier to cope. I missed him. Every day. But now was some cruel reality that had me facing my friends dying too. Not that I didn't have options. I could run away like a coward and let this be someone else's problem. As Dad said, everyone dies eventually, right? But could I live with myself knowing I had a chance to do something and didn't? It was much the same as staying here and risking nothing bad happening. If talking to Oswald had meant anything, and seeing things in the vault, the threat seemed real enough. Which only left one real option, and that was to face this head on. Like father, like son, huh? I smirked for all of a second, thinking about how I was unintentionally following in Dad's footsteps in some way. Maybe I'd make an alright detective if I'd get my nerves under control. I didn't notice he was there at first, almost making me jump from his sudden appearance. Are you okay? Oh, yeah, I think so. Well, are you sure? Looking at Roswell, he seemed genuinely concerned and let out a sigh. I just needed to decide something, that's all. Well, decide what? Especially this early? Do you think we're in danger, really? Well, from what? Well, you know, I saw you dead, you wanted to know how. Then Benson. Oh, right. Well, it took me by surprise, sure, but I told you I think about death a lot. Maybe more than I should, but someone's got to, right? I groaned, hanging my head with a sigh. Why does it feel like I'm the one that also has to think about it? Well, no one's forcing you. Well, not really. What if I told you I was worried if I didn't do anything, someone might end up dead? Well, everyone dies, Dave. Sure, it might not be when you want, and it could come suddenly, but worrying about it needlessly is only going to do more harm than good. Focus on what you can change and let the rest just happen, I guess. I looked at him and he flashed me a smile. So, what, I just let everyone die? Oh, no, don't do that. What I meant more was, maybe don't tackle the problem so much as keeping people alive. That's what doctors are for. Instead, maybe look at keeping people safe. Be the great detective, not be your assistant if you like. Roswell. He beamed at me, covering his eyes as the sun started to rise over the trees. Oh, wow, pretty. Look, Dave, the sun's coming up. We watched as the sun rose, washing the landscape over with its warm light. Hey, Roswell. Yeah? Everything's going to be okay. You think so? I'm going to try my best to make sure of it anyway. Well, I'll help. Really, say the word and I'll come running. Just, please don't make me run very far. We both broke out laughing and we stood there watching the world for a bit before Roswell shook suddenly. Oh, I should get back inside if I catch another cold. See you at breakfast? Sure, and thanks for last night, Roswell. With a wave, he headed back inside. It was reassuring to know that Roswell was willing to give me a hand here. I wasn't a detective, and I could only dream of piecing things together. Roswell, though, he was clever. Between the two of us, I felt like we'd have a better chance of laying to rest my worries by finding the cause of it all. There was no avoiding it. If Roswell was already this perky in the morning, I had some catching up to do. Who knew if he decided to go make a start on breakfast or do something else? But even thinking about it reminded me I needed coffee in my system for attempting any sort of investigation. It was quiet. Despite having the chance to talk to someone already, I felt slightly lonely. If it wasn't for the faint hum coming from the coffee machine brewing, I would have been in complete silence. I wondered if Benson was awake, as I assumed he'd probably come and make breakfast for Oswin at some point. Maybe there'd be a chance to talk. A sudden ding from the machine in front of me signalled that it was done. I'd already prepared my mug, the milk, and had the sugar on standby. I added the normal amount of sugar I had, and my eyes lingered on the bowl. Roswell had way too much sugar in his morning coffee, so was it worth trying? My hand hovered over the sugar bowl for a while longer before I decided against it. Wasting no more time, I poured myself a mug of coffee and sighed out the familiar scent. Sound from behind me made me spin around, leaving my coffee on the counter. Good morning, Master Dave. Good morning. Someone's up early, having trouble sleeping. It's a long story. Well, don't mind me, I just have to fetch breakfast for Master Oswin. I didn't hear you come in, honestly. You're very quiet. Well, I do have my ways. You should be no stranger to secret passages by now. Oh, don't mind me, I'll be gone before long. What even does a guy like Oswin eat for breakfast? I've been wondering what someone with that much money has as their diet. Children's cereal. The blank look I was given him made him shake his head, or he strode over the pantry to pull out a box from near the back. He's a man of simple tastes. If I wasn't around, chances are he'd subsist mostly on his sugar-laden rubbish and instant noodles. Good thing he has you around then, huh? Indeed. It didn't take him long to assemble a tray of food before heading out of the kitchen into the hallway leading to the foyer. I listened as he left, wondering if I could hear another door opening to hint where the passage might be. But nothing. It was my nose that was strong, not my ears. Taking a sip from the coffee, I reinforced my decision to stay up and wait for the others to resurface. Chances were that Sal and Hoss would be up first, followed by Orlando, then Roswell, Dean, then Tyson. At least that was my guess. But chances are that everyone is going to want breakfast, right? Maybe Benson was going to sort that out after he tended to Oswin. Still... I took another gulp of coffee before nodding to myself. Making lunch wasn't hard, breakfast wouldn't be any different. Besides, it was just another thing I could do to keep them together. There were many options of what to do. I could grab all the things out and just do toast and cereal to keep it basic. A fond smile found its way onto my face as I recalled the dream I had. While I couldn't do bacon and eggs, I could do the next best thing. Collecting ingredients wasn't hard. I knew what to look for. Beyond that, mixing the batter up wasn't hard either. Okay, let's get this underway. I remembered once Orlando kept things warm in the oven, and given how many pancakes I was planning on making, I needed to make sure they stayed that way. Turning it on and putting it at the lowest setting should have been fine. The oven itself had a keep warm setting, so that should have been fine, right? As I cooked off the batter, I just thought of Dad, a goofy smile on my face. Maybe a part of it was how I looked forward to doing this for someone I loved one day. By the time I was ready, I headed on to the dining room with the pancakes keeping warm in the oven. Oh, good morning, guys. Good morning, Dave. I've been cooking. Yeah, I think I'd try making breakfast for everyone. I'm not sure I do, but seeing you in high spirits is nice all the same. Sal. Ooh. I'm fine. Just tired still. Not going back to bed or a nap. No, that's more Dean's thing. He has enough trouble sleeping as it is. I'd rather just put up with it for now and make sure I get a decent sleep tonight. Oh yeah, that whole keeping your sleeping schedule in check. Is that important? Dave, you'd notice if you didn't nap all the time. But napping is good. We chatted for a while, waiting for the others to arrive. One by one they filed in and sat down, and when everyone was seated I went and retrieved breakfast. I wandered the oven and checked the pancakes I'd left in there. Not burning, so that's a plus. Okay, pancakes are good, and... Shaking my head, I turned back to the oven and pulled the pancakes out. A task I'd set myself or I'd gotten distracted. Assembling the rest of what I needed, I made my way back out into the dining room. When we were all settled, we started to eat. Coffee was had, and while all of us seemed tired, there were smiles. Even I wore one, but it was hard to maintain. I wasn't sure I was willing to go through with what I'd originally planned. Thinking about it while you're by yourself was one thing, but seeing all my friends at the table, feeling I alone was responsible for keeping them alive, I don't feel so good. What was that, Dave? He said he didn't feel well. Is it nausea? Stress? You've had coffee, so it can't be that. Sal said over a glass of water to me, and I took it eagerly, drinking quickly. Jeez, what's gotten into you? Maybe it's a combination of things. I promise I'll be fine. I just... fresh air. The moment I stepped outside, I sighed out in relief, doubling over and supporting myself on my knees. I was panicking. I wasn't entirely sure why. But sure enough... What the fuck was that? No kidding. I needed... I straightened, cracking my back and sighing out again. You're a fucking dork. Seriously, Dave? You kick up a fuss about just needing some air? Despite the nervous chuckling, I did feel somewhat better getting away from the others, if only for a moment. He'll be fine, he's just a brat. I am not. See? Perfectly fine. Well, alright. Guess we'll head back inside then. Come find us if you need anything, pup. Come on, loser. Who are you calling loser, Pillar Man? Wait. Oi, what's a Pillar Man? Ross was ready inside by the time Ty was chasing after him, both of them leaving me to my thoughts outside. I sat down and looked out at the backyard, regulating my breathing, or at least trying to. I was still holding on to a bunch of worries about what I was intending to do. Oh, don't worry, we're here to help. What? I turned back to look at Roswell and Orlando as they arrived, and they sat down either side of me. So what's got you upset, Dave? Groaning and fall onto my back, I looked up at the two of them. They continued to smile down at me as they were prone to do when they were teaming up to make me feel better. More chocolate? I think I've got some more fruit gummies somewhere if that's better. He doesn't need candy. This is... What is this again? Hoss gave us the signal to go assist. I grumbled, rubbing my face. Well, it's nothing, really. I'm fine. Well, yeah, like we haven't heard that one before. Okay, so, fine, you got me. Things aren't fine. Did something happen? I mean, did something else happen? What do you mean something else? Like another vault thing? Not really. I'm just feeling overwhelmed. What if we can't do this? What if I let everyone down? At the same time, Orlando and Roswell pulled me up, each of them taking a hand in mine to do so. You won't let anyone down, Dave, so don't worry about it. Yeah, together we can do anything, but you have to let us help. I was then crushed between them, or rather I was tackled by Roswell and then squeezed tight by Orlando, throwing his arms around the both of us. It's what friends are for, right? Started off as a chuckle before evolving into full-blown laughter. Maybe I did just need another hug, or maybe it was just the reassurance from everyone up to this point that made it sink in. I wasn't alone. Well, someone's feeling better. Maybe a little. Well, that's a start. But how do we continue, or what do you need? I turned to Roswell, resolved. Ready for us to revisit your murder? Excuse me? Well, you're excused. Hang on, what's this about revisiting a murder? You've already gone through this once and you want to do it again? Is that bad? Orlando sighed out, rubbing his head. Well, it could be. I'm just worried this is going to make things worse. I can't really help you. Oh, don't worry about it. Between the two of us, I'm sure we'll be fine. I severely doubt that, Roswell. We'll be fine, right, Dave? Yeah. What am I going to do with you two? Is it really that much of a problem? I just don't know. Are you sure this is wise? You're already struggling, so... Well, we better if I invited Hoss along. I'm sure he'd keep things less than serious. I don't like how you're open Hossing after he sent us out here. But you're right, he'll keep you two in check. Sure you don't want to come with, Orlando? Oh, no, that's alright. You guys go, do what you have to do. Alright, I'll go get ready and suggest you do the same, Dave. I'll go tell Hoss you're waiting for him. We broke off and headed to where we needed to go first. Taking Roswell's suggestion to heart, I started to get ready with a shower to freshen up, cleared my head and woke me up a little, which was a nice bonus. Refreshed, it was time to assemble the tools needed for this investigation. First, my notebook. Roswell was likely to be going to be grabbing his, so it made sense for me to grab mine too. So much for it being a nice scrapbook of our vacation. Still, all things considered, this seemed to be a worthy use for it. I didn't have a way to print out any photos to stick in while we were here anyway. Next up, phone, just in case I needed to call someone or use something on it. Well, I guess it could be used as a backup notebook, but that's only an option as long as it stays charged. I already let it run out once, so having something like my notebook makes sense as my primary method of recording information. This wasn't the first time I'd been here, nor to be the last, especially given what we were about to do. Taking a quick look around, I wondered what was keeping the others, but I could hear them on the approach as I passed back by the door leading into the room. Oh good, you're already here. Well, that makes things easier. Part of me wondered if we'd have to go retrieve you from your room. Why? Did the others not fill you in? Oh, Orlando told me what you two were up to, but given how you were freaking out before, part of me wondered if you were just going to go back to bed instead. I huffed, looking from Hoss to Roswell, seemed not looking at all that impressed. Maybe the suggestion Hoss come along wasn't such a great idea after all. This was his idea. He'd defeat the point of doing this if he went and had a nap. You have a point. Well, alright, where does that leave us? Where do we start? Well, just like that? That'd just make things easier though, wouldn't it? Well, maybe start by telling me what we're investigating. All I got from Orlando was to go make sure you two don't spend all day talking about depressing stuff. Well, should I do it or do you want to, Roswell? Well, I'm happy to start things off. Well, let's begin with a basic explanation of the... Well, I guess it'd be murder, right? Murder? Whose? Oh, mine. The supposed one, at least. It took place here, presumably sometime during the night of the same day we explored the hedge maze. Presumably because you're not dead? Or more so because that was the reason I left you that night to go wander the woods. But yes, that too. You didn't have to go wander the woods. Well, I was considering doing it anyway, but a good bit of study is hard to pass up. Okay, so we have the location. And the murder weapon too. Roswell and I talked about it yesterday. Hoss sighed, shooting both of us a quick look. How many times have you looked into this? Just yesterday? I'm getting the feeling it's more than that, and now I get why Orlando was so... He threw his arms up, rolling his eyes. It was hard to tell specifically what he's getting at, but his point came across all the same. Well, not even twice. Yesterday was more a passing comment, or at the very least just an updated piece of information. Our first investigation didn't really get us anywhere. Alright, but why? Well, what do you mean why? I thought back to the other day, struggling to remember the specifics of something that had happened a week back. If I'm remembering right, there are a few things that didn't make sense about it based on what I saw in the vault. And that was? Come on guys, I'm here to help. You should bring me up to speed faster than this. Alright, so, I saw Roswell lying on the ground bleeding from the head with a book next to him. A word in it was underlined in blood, and that turned out to be the password I used to, see it. Isn't that kind of circular? Well, circular? What do you mean? So, Dave didn't know of the word when he put it in the vault, right? But then it turns out the same word appeared in the things he saw. Roswell and I looked at each other confused. Have we just looked over this until now? Did neither of us notice? Moving on, the murder weapon was, what? Seems though Hoss was happy enough pressing on for more information in the meantime. The puzzle that was how I knew the word would have to wait. Book, right? I pointed up to the top shelf, all three of us looking up to see the heavy encyclopedias that Roswell had identified. Well, that was the working theory. The book I'm guessing Dave saw wasn't one of those at all. Still, the implication was that someone bludgeoned me over the head with one. When there's a sword over there, whoever led you in must have, I don't know, been desperate? But who'd be desperate to kill Roswell, and why? Who knows, maybe he got too close to something someone didn't want him finding out. After all, in a place full of books, maybe you find the secret to eternal life or something. My money's honestly more on... Roswell stopped mid-sentence, tailing off and looking thoughtful. Actually, you raise a good point. The secret to immortality is in here. Oh no, not that. There's something else. That would explain the other thing that came up during our investigation, right? Guys, come on. I know I wasn't here last time, but at least stop playing the being vague card. If it helps, I don't really remember either. Blunt force trauma, remember? Oh yeah. That thing of where you couldn't have underlined the word and you read it, you should be unconscious, right? Right, I was asking Dave about what he saw, and I concluded the book he saw couldn't have been the murder weapon, even if it was important. Well, that said, without seeing the wound myself, I'm only guessing. Well, great, where does that leave us? We get to skip right to picking out a suspect. I'm guessing if Roswell was unconscious in this scenario, someone else would have to underline this word for him, right? Well, sure, that makes sense, but who? Well, all things considered, if the murder weapon was the book, then anyone able to lift one of them fits the bill. So basically anyone, right? Right. I thought back to the vision of what we discussed the other day. Thinking back on it, the book didn't appear all that bloody, but you mentioned that thing with zombies. Restoration. Well, that's true. What would fit the bill for the weapon? Well, it's a sword right there. I feel like you're overcomplicating things. Well, you had a look at it. You know that sword there is bolted in place. That's not going to be going anywhere quickly, especially if someone got the jump on me. Fine then, what about an axe? I don't know, wouldn't that kind of deal a lot more damage than just caving Roswell's head in? I looked across to Roswell, immediately feeling a little guilty that we're talking about his death so casually. At the same time, I was surprised that this wasn't affecting me nearly all that much, given how nervous I was about it before. Well, not necessarily. The back of the axe head could do it. It'd be a bit savage, but just as effective. But why bother using the blunt end when the sharp end seems so much more effective? Well, that's a good point. Would there be a reason? Yeah, might be. It might also help narrow down the culprit too. And if you wanted to stop someone who were desperate, that could be why. Overdoing it resulting in death is a possibility, if unlikely. And underlining the word in blood? That's a little extra, isn't it? What would you have done, Hoss? Ignoring the fact you've thrown suspicion on me, the obvious thing would be either perform first aid or get out of there. I wouldn't have to agree. It seems odd that you'd opt to use the blunt side of the axe when the sharp side is there. However, what made you say an axe, Hoss? Well, what other weapons would there been, aside from a gun, maybe? I looked between the two of them, with Roswell staring at Hoss with a frown. Either Hoss didn't notice or didn't care. He continued anyway. Well, the place is surrounded by trees. Why wouldn't you have an axe in the greenhouse? Well, I bet if we asked Dean, he'd probably know for sure. But this is all just a guess, right? This crime never happened. Right. So, we're no closer to figuring out the what, but maybe the who instead? Right, suspects. A blow to the back of the head can mean one of two things. The first is my guard was down around the assailant and didn't have any issues exposing my back to them, possibly knowing they're armed. And the second? Was that I was taken by surprise. They would have had to act fast and quietly without me turning around. So the most likely scenario was... Roswell looked between me and Hoss, taking a step back. Any reason you're playing up the theatrics? Well, once I immediately fit the profile of people I don't keep my guard around, include you two and Orlando. Understandably, Tyson caused some alarm. I don't know Dean all that well, so I'd be somewhat careful. And Sal? He trailed off, looking at the floor while he scratched his chin. Hoss, meanwhile, sidled up to Roswell, nudging him gently. Does someone want to finish that thought about Sal, or... Roswell huffed, staring at Hoss again. Well, Sal just gets me curious is all. He's over a foot taller, much broader, and has some unique insights I've only just recently discovered. Fine, so Sal's under suspicion too. I'm guessing Benson is under that umbrella too? Well, of course, like I said, the only ones who are safely off the list for now are you, Orlando, and Dave. Well, let's knock a few things out now. Dave is unlikely to be the culprit because he warned you, right? Alright, as much as it'd be like him to accidentally botch his own attempt at murder, I think he's in the clear. I chuckled before realising what he said. The moment I went to call him out on it, though, he placed a hand carefully against my maw to keep me quiet when I continued. For similar reasons, I don't think Orlando would be able to do it either. All things considered, I doubt he'd be able to follow through unless he is personally in danger, which leads us to you, Hoss. Well, fine, guess the jig is up. Oh well, I had a good run. Wait, really? Hoss? You? You can't be serious, Dave. You really think I'd kill Roswell? Well, I don't think you could either, Hoss, or rather would. Thanks. I could be a little more offended with how this went down, but I guess this is a win. Looking around the museum, I wondered if we had any more leads. As it stood, or at least as I understood it, we didn't have all that much in the way of leads. This is disappointing. Thought we'd make some headway with this. Sorry I can't be more help. It'd be easier if we knew who was in the room with you when this happened, obviously. Roswell looked again to Hoss, thoughtful but focused. He then looked at the bookcase he'd shown me the day before, leading into the study. It's possible they were. He wandered over the bookcase and tested to see if it would open, but it didn't budge. Dave, can you open this for me? I gave Hoss a quick look before doing as Roswell asked, feeling and watched me intently as I pulled what books I needed to and pushed the bookcase aside. What? Is this... Oh, the study. On the day Dave and I came in here, I don't remember this bookcase being open. It could have been in there. They could have... Roswell trembled and his fists clenched, but in an instant, he was back to normal. All the tension he's holding on to was let go with a sigh. Well, I guess there's no point in worrying about it. We can't prove anything, and this event never transpired. Hey, it's alright, Roswell. It just means that I was wrong, right? Yeah, Dave must have been mistaken, so don't worry about it. Even if it was real then. Oh, good thing Dave warned you, right? It was slow, but his smile returned eventually. Right, I do have that to be thankful for. Is there anything else we can do? Nothing else we can talk about to maybe get a few more answers? Well, I might have a few bits of info to share. Nothing major, but something that might help. Don't get ahead of yourself, Hoss. I'm not out just yet. I still have something I can share. Let's see what Roswell has to say. Roswell, what do you have to share? So this room has an odd feature to it, something that by all rights it shouldn't have. Aside from a suit of armour. Well, yes, aside from the suit of armour. I'm talking, of course, about the door. Which one? The one leading in here. Well, yes, the bookcase into the study is a bit strange, but the normal door in here is even more so. All right, why's that, Roswell? Seems like a normal door to me. Well, it essentially is, with one key feature making it strange. The lock on the door is unlike any other in the mansion, including the strange door downstairs. This one's reinforced a lot more than even the ones in the bedrooms. Why? Is there something valuable in here? Knowledge, perhaps? Otherwise I wouldn't know the actual worth of any of these display pieces. To be honest, I wouldn't know either. Seems like a mix of junk and mostly sentimental things, which, while cool, I doubt actually hold any monetary value. For a mansion, I assume there'd be a lot more showy things on display. You know, like treasure, paintings, or whatnot. Right, that's what makes having a lock like that so strange. To complicate things further, the lock itself seems to be specifically one of those heavy-duty ones that require a key. And what lock doesn't require a key, Roswell? That should be a no-brainer. That's not what I'm getting at. This lock is like one of those old ones. Would require a very sturdy key, not something like a standard house key or anything. It's just gone mostly by the wayside because the door's been open most of the time. Okay, so who has the key? Well, my guess would be Benson. Not that it really matters, but hypothetically, if he wanted to, he could easily trap someone inside. Or keep someone out, right? True, but as far as I can tell, there's no other way in or out of this room, so you'd be stuck otherwise. But is this useful for killing someone? Or maybe not for killing someone, but detaining the culprit potentially. It's for sure one room you can't possibly break out of without that key, or maybe you had enough weight to just bust down the door. Oh, so what have you got? Oh, it might not be important, but have you guys noticed the devices in this room? What devices? Ah, I thought so. This room has a camera and a microphone, or at least one that isn't immediately hidden. I looked at Roswell and he just shrugged. Together we turned to Hoss and gave him a confused look. So the moment you enter the room, you're on camera. There are plenty of blind spots, but what it looks like, it's pointed at the door. But why? Who knows? This is even assuming it's even on. There's no telling if it's active from what we can see, given it's set in the ceiling. He pointed to a spot high above, making me squint to make out a small dome installed in the ceiling. Wait, that thing up there is a camera. Yep, a fairly standard home security model from what I can tell. Well, that's one. You said devices as in plural, right? What about the other? Now, this one I know a little bit more about. There are a couple of omnidirectional microphones installed here, set in the walls. Microphones? How many? Which walls? Oh, I've only seen a couple, and chances are they aren't all that strong given where they're installed, but it's still strange, right? Now that you mention it, the camera might make sense, but microphones? There's only a couple reasons I could think of that make you want microphones sneakily installed in your own house. Karaoke? I looked at Hoss expectantly, a broad grin on my face, confident in my answer. Singing, in here, not the best acoustics, but if you're a fairy tale princess singing about something, I'm sure you could make it work. Think more like covert spying on people. Not legally, mind you, but in houses like this, or really any big buildings belonging to wealthy families where the rich talk secrets, is a good place to gather blackmail material. Blackmail? But who would do that? That's something only organised crime would do, right? Well, exactly. I'm sure you noticed it, Hoss. The soundproofing kind of plays into that too a bit, right? I had noticed, but wasn't sure if that was the reason. Yes, if both of us thinking it though, maybe that's more than likely what I thought. Hoss stretched, running his hands through his mane. Well, that was fun. What are you going to do now? Wait, we're done? Well, I think we might be. There really isn't anything more we can go off of, and as much as we're getting closer, we can't just solve something we have no first-hand knowledge of. If we were looking at this from an outside perspective, it'd be a little bit easier. But even then, I doubt we'd be able to solve everything. Chances are we'd end up making an assumption somewhere and making things worse. What? Like if we were gods? Somehow I don't think that's what he meant. Maybe not gods, but if we could speak to the version of you that lives through that experience, Dave, then maybe we'd have more to go off. Or even my ghost, but that'd require me dead. And believe me when I say that I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. Well, that's good, I guess. If what you saw was real, Dave, then you saved me once already. You should have no problems doing it again if the need arises. Well, you guys have fun. I think my work here is done. See you guys at lunch. He's out the door before Roswell and I could really say anything. Lunch was still a while away, but I wasn't going to turn down some time alone with Roswell. Hey, Roswell. What's wrong? Can we talk more about last night? Which part? Well, I guess I want to apologise if I was a bit of a downer, plus something else. Well, us hanging out like that was to help you not be a downer. I went into that knowing that's what you'd be like potentially. I think I already know of the other thing. You do? But how? Well, I have my ways. But this is about the love thing, right? Right, I'm sorry that I don't know if... Put a hand on my arm, flashing me a smile. No pressure. What I said not expecting anything back. If you do feel something back, then great. I expect you'll tell me if or when you're ready. I chuckled, though it quickly became a defeated whine. Hey, cheer up, Dave. Don't worry about it. I mean it. If the time comes, then great. And if it doesn't, then that's great too. But for now, why don't we go do something less morbid? Roswell led the way out of the museum towards the rec room. I didn't expect him to pull out a video game, but the two of us struggled playing co-op in something we'd never heard of. Before we knew it, though, it was time for lunch. We all filed into the dining room before we continued into the kitchen. I don't know why we just didn't take the other corridor. Perhaps we were all intended on making lunch without checking with anyone else. We all made for the kitchen to get started. As everyone moved around me, I figured I'd use the time to record what I'd written down while it was still fairly fresh. Roswell died in the museum from a head wound. We didn't really learn all that much compared to the last time we looked into it. There were a few neat things. Primarily the study meant that the culprit might have been in there. Not that we know for certain, but it was a possibility. We didn't know much about a weapon, however. It left me scratching my head. I'd saved him by sending him out into the woods, so why was he killed in the museum in the first place? Was there something there? Every time we'd been there since it had been an issue. I'd even spent some time in there alone. As I ran through the suspects in my head, I looked at each of my friends in turn. Roswell seemed to be certain about his assessment of the people here, which put me at ease somewhat, but someone had to have done it, right? I was writing down the notes in my notebook, though. Something occurred to me, something I had to remember that seemed off. Hey, Sal. Yes? He wandered over from talking to Roswell about something to stand in front of me looking confused. Is something the matter? Well, I looked quickly at Hoss, who seemed distracted, and to a couple of others before gesturing for Sal to follow. I don't understand. What's wrong? It'll be quick, honest. Are you in trouble? Am I in trouble? No, nothing like that. I was just wondering if, So a couple of nights ago, you were in the conservatory, right? What? Not that I know of. Wait, what? But you were there. Maybe at some point during the day? No, I'm talking like middle of the night. You were kind of standing there just all, How would I explain it? I rolled my wrists trying to find the words. I didn't leave my room. Once I went to my room for the night, I just went to bed. But that's impossible. I saw you there. It didn't seem as though Sal was believing me. He just scratched his head. I know I saw him there. After all, I was on edge after talking to Oswin as it was. What if I show you? The conservatory. Right, then you'll maybe remember? Sal didn't seem overly pleased with the prospect, but didn't object to the notion, so we headed upstairs. As soon as we entered, my eyes went to the bookcase, remembering the reason I'd come in here that night. As for Sal... What's the matter? He wandered around the room for stopping in place for the bookcase, looking at it. There's something about this right here feels familiar. Right, that's where you were standing when I saw you the other night. But I was in bed, sleeping. What makes you so sure though, Sal? Well, I took sleeping medication. I got it from Dean. And honestly, it's not the first time I've taken it. It normally works pretty quick. Really? Began to fidget on the spot for a sign out. I haven't been sleeping well since we arrived. Started with Orlando fretting and being excited the day before we arrived. Then him confessing, you worrying about Benson. Now it's my turn to fidget, feeling like I was keeping Sal from sleeping soundly. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's been rough beyond that. Would you believe that I found an axe in my room? An axe? In my bed, yes. You found an axe in your bed? I was yelling and Sal stepped forward, put one of his hands over my mouth and muffled me. Yes, a little under a week ago. I hid it under my bed, waking up next to an axe was worrying enough. And it's still there? Yes, I believe so. I was planning on returning it to the greenhouse later today. But who puts an axe in someone's bed? Unless you did it. Sal seemed to think about it for a while before replying, scratching his chin. It might have been me. The more I think about it, the more I wonder if what I've been dreaming about haven't been just dreams after all. What have you been dreaming about? Or random things. I remember being in the library at one point. Nothing beyond that, just looking around. There was another time I remember seeing Orlando. The whole experience was like I was underwater, blurry and distorted. The library. I looked back at the bookcase before turning back to Sal. Is that why you're in here, to go to the library? He shrugged, leaving me to wonder. Was Sal the culprit? Sal, did anything happen in particular that day when you were in the library? Not that I know of. We went to the hedge maze, had that argument with Dean. Wait, hold on, you went to the library back then? I thought you meant like a couple of nights ago. Only thing that happened a couple of days ago was, we had that sleepover, Benson was found alive, and that's all. I don't think I did all that much given how tired I was. Ended up taking some more medication. I frowned, wondering, was this a pattern? Did it mean anything, or was I just still hyped up for investigating earlier? Was that all you wanted to know? Something still wasn't adding up, and I figured I'd lay it out on the table for Sal. Either he knew or he didn't, but I knew he was in the conservatory that night. It's not making sense, Sal. I know for certain you were in this room a couple of nights ago. And why were you in this room to confirm that? To go to the library? But... Sal pointed at the door, looking away for a moment before returning to look at me. The library is over that way. You can't get there from here. But what about... I gestured to the bookcase, but all I seemed to get was a confused look from Sal and the slight tilting of his head. He didn't know. Okay. I'm sorry I can't be more help. I just don't know what else I can offer you. Maybe Hoss would know more? Why Hoss? I remember having a talk with him at some point. I don't quite remember when, but... I stopped listening. Hoss was now starting to get suspicious again. First the library, then what he's doing this morning, now this. I guess I don't have much of a choice, do I? If it helps, I can make myself available if you need to ask me more questions. This seems to be bothering you still. He placed a hand on my shoulder when we left the room, although I didn't feel like I got very far. We headed downstairs and back outside with Sal heading off in the direction of the pool. Come on, Dave, think. I found myself thinking again outside. What would Dad do? What would the next step be? Was there a pattern in the words that had worked so far? Oswin said that this thing worked on trauma, so would it just be better if I let Orlando pick the words? He seemed to worry about most things. Sal thought that maybe Hoss would know something. Given he knew about the library, it's possible he could have known Sal was there too. Roswell? Would Roswell know anything about what happened? He was smart. Dean gave Sal the medication, so maybe that was an avenue to consider as well. The other option I was worrying needlessly was something that wasn't going to happen again. There was no proof, no motive as far as I could tell. That's possibly why I was finding this difficult. As I turned around... Master Dave. Oh, Benson. Hello. You look troubled. More so than usual. Whatever is the matter? I decided I'd try and piece together what the next danger would be, get the vault to work again. Quite the task you've set for yourself. How is that going thus far? Well, I don't really have anything solid to go off. At the moment it's just Sal, I suppose. Your crocodile friend. What about him? When I left the library after talking to Oswin, he was in a conservatory, just kind of standing there. But he doesn't remember doing that. Does he sleepwalk perhaps? I used to do so when I was younger. Sleepwalking? Indeed, perhaps he sleepwalks and just decided to take a stroll. Or he has more of a skill for acting than Master Hoss. Oh, I doubt that. At the very least he didn't know about the bookcase entry, unless he's lying. Perhaps, Master Dave, perhaps. What should I do? Do you think I'm worrying for no reason? Not at all. Master Oswin expressed worry himself this morning. You're not the only one wondering what the next event will entail. But there will be one. Consider it an old sense reigniting, the familiar scent of murderous intent on the air, if you will. Not that it's anything remotely tangible, my boy, just an inkling this old otter has. Should I have a gun, a weapon, anything like that? Unless you wish to get accused of being the assailant, I would advise against it. The best I can do is state that I have no intention of arming any of you without express instruction from Master Oswin. Well, that's something at least. However... What? Benson stroked his moustache, seemingly thinking something over. It is probably nothing. But I would potentially want to address that first. The prospect of a puppet is a dangerous one. A puppet? You don't mean... It's unlikely that anyone could use your crocodile friend to kill, but with a little creativity, that's still one problem that's worth addressing, lest you wish for a massacre. I gulped at the prospect. If he was describing it as a massacre, what did he expect could happen? A big man such as himself would be a force in his own right, and putting him down would be somewhat of a challenge without being considerably armed. What do you suggest? Talking to him for a start, Master Dave. Where is he now? Rather than tell him, I wandered over the pool and Benson followed. Sure enough, Sal was sitting by the pool with his eyes looking at the water. Sal? He grunted in response, doing a double take when he realised I wasn't alone. He scrambled to his feet as he noticed Benson, giving him a brief bow. I'll be plain, Master Sal. Do you experience sleepwalking? Sleepwalking? Not that I know of. Oh, fascinating. Why is that fascinating, Benson? If he does, then he's flagrantly unaware of it. But this might be a benefit to you. What is this about? Remember what we were talking about upstairs, Sal? Benson had an idea. Oh, pay me no mind. Consider it just an act of passing down wisdom. However, I do have another question, although it is quite bold of me to ask this directly. What is it? Benson seemed to wait only a moment for asking his question. He asked it bluntly. Have you ever killed someone, Master Sal? Sal's face paled and he took a step back. Or perhaps just thought about it? To be perfectly honest, even if the predisposition is there, is all I'm after. Benson, you can't go asking that. Have I overstepped the line? I meant no disrespect. After all, it's been... Oh, yes, I have. The comment was muttered, but I could still make it out. It was an accident, but yes. Then perhaps we're in the clear then. As far as taking a life is concerned, an accident doesn't constitute enough of a risk. Should I be worried? Oh, Benson wondered if he was sleepwalking because... Actually, why were you wondering about that? Allow me to explain. Someone that can be hypnotized and those that are prone to sleepwalking have some level of suggestibility. The things you can convince someone to do or think while they're in this state is... Put simply, it's a means of rewiring the brain. Forgive the simplicity with how I say this, but convincing someone to potentially kill another is possible if the right conditions are met. What conditions? A predisposition to the action you're suggesting to them. In this case, requesting for the person currently hypnotized to kill another requires that they have some inner desire to end another's life. What about that creativity you mentioned before? That. Consider it a loophole. One could still get the person in a trance to kill if they frame their suggestion in a different way. Say perhaps handing them a vial of poison and asking them to administer a dear friend some medicine or season a pot of food. They'd be unknowing of what they truly held, but be under the impression they were doing something innocent. But that's terrifying. Indeed, but while the potential is there, the likelihood of all this happening is very low. Have a decent sleep and you'll be fine, I'm sure of it. Alright, I think I can do that. Now if you'll excuse me, gentlemen, and Master Dave, should you need anything else, I'll be around. Once Sal and I were alone, he sighed out, rubbing the back of his head. Well, that's... I'm sorry, I thought that maybe having a second opinion might help. You're that worried? Yeah. After all, what if the worst case scenario happens? She's already dead, so... He trailed off there, making me tilt my head. Ooh. It doesn't matter. Just someone important to me. He sighed, sitting back down and dipping his feet into the water. I'm sorry, but can I be alone for a bit? Oh, please, we can talk more later. I headed back inside, leaving Sal by the pool. Something seemed to be bothering him, but I didn't feel close enough to him to really ask anything more. Under any other circumstances, I would have tried to stay and keep him company, but I had enough worries going on. I wandered through the house for a bit with my thoughts. There really wasn't much I could do, nor did I plan anything for the rest of the afternoon. I could go see what Orlando was doing, or watch something with Hoss, or even go to see what Dean was doing. Chances are he'd be in the greenhouse, but I'd only really just come back inside. Then I found myself going downstairs. I entered an all too familiar room and stared at the door on the opposite wall, eyes flicking to the keypad briefly. This thing right here was the source of all this trouble. Part of me wondered if this thing didn't exist, what would have happened? Would Roswell have still died? Taking a few more steps toward the door, I reached out for the keypad, thinking it over. The air in the room seemed to vibrate slightly, and while I couldn't smell anything in particular, I couldn't see anything to be causing the vibrations either. Hello? Is anyone there? Silence. Beyond the faint hum of the house, nothing came from nearby. Turning back towards the door, I wondered what was on the other side. The door that was upstairs in the library looked the same, but Oswin came from behind it. Was there a passage behind this one too, or just a single room? After all, he appeared and led through that door in the library, so chances were the door led somewhere else in the mansion, right? I left it behind, shaking my head. Part of me wondered if I was overthinking things, if I was diving too far into the deep end of this investigation. As I trudged up into the foyer again, I bumped into Roswell, who quickly held onto my arms and flashed me a smile. I wondered where you'd gotten to. Come on, let's go do something. Wait, what? Do what now? Oh, not interested? I'd go see if Orlando was free instead. It's no trouble. No, I'm up for doing something. What did you have in mind? My whole afternoon is free, so... Oh, I didn't have anything particular planned, but if you're up for helping me practice some magic... Sure, as long as there's no swords involved, that should be fine. Great, come on then. Roswell led the way upstairs and gestured to me to sit on the bed. So I sat down and watched him rummage through his bag, then a couple of piles of clothes, picking up bits and pieces as he went. You haven't cleaned up your room yet? Nope. But why? Why bother? This is my room. I don't need to clean it up for anyone but myself. I know where everything is anyway. Which is why you're still searching for whatever it is that you're searching for. Roswell huffed, shooting me a sour look for retrieving one last thing and joining me on the bed. Remember, you did agree to help me practice. Well, yes, as long as there were no sores. He gestured me to hold out my hands and started tying them together with a flashy red rope. Cool. What trick is this? You'll see. Just hold still. He continued binding my arms together before placing a magic wand on the bed beside me. Okay, so this one's a little advanced, but I'm going to try and levitate the wand and cast a spell through it to undo your bindings. So you're graduating from small tricks to proper magic. Well, I've been practicing. You can't tell me you think all I'm studying is just academia. I've not been neglecting my occult studies as well. Oh, is this where you pull out the board thing? The Woogie board? Ouija board? No. Well, yes, but not this time. So how are you going to do the magic? Is there a spell? Did you just... I tugged lightly on the rope, trying to see if I could pull myself free with little success. I noticed you knew how to tie such good knots, Roswell. Well, it takes some practice, but you can get pretty good. Spending enough time alone with just a piece of string, and that's all you need, really. And this happens often? Or taking a break from studying to do something with your hands lets your mind relax sometimes. Trust me, I've done plenty of studying. Well, with that comes a lot of time alone. Isn't that kind of lonely? Oh, a little. But it's worth it, for everything it leads to, everything that all this studying is for. I'd like to think that it'll pay off someday. But what are you studying for? Well, any number of things, really. Probably not medicine, but there's plenty of other things I could get into. Including untying me. I don't think your spell is really working. Why would you give me a chance to actually do the magic? I spent the better part of the afternoon with my hands tied together while Roswell tried to perform his trick. It wasn't nearly as good as his card trick from earlier, but it wasn't so bad. It was kind of funny trying to watch him levitate the wand with his mind. It was broken up with enough idle chatter to make it less boring. Eventually he had to give up and he untied me so we could head on down for dinner. We filed into the dining room and I watched as Tyson went to the kitchen. I went to go help, but Hoss soon wandered into the kitchen. Tyson was cooking, chances are they would need both of us helping, so I took a seat and just waited. A couple of the others were still standing, talking to one another, leaving me to my thoughts. It had been a long day, so I took the time to just zone out and think. There was a lot of information to go through, and not a whole lot of it made sense. I didn't think I'd really gotten anywhere, but for now that was fine, right? Baby steps was where I needed to start, and any progress was good. When dinner was done and we were all seated, we dug in. Earlier in the day, seeing all my friends like this gave me a great deal of stress. Having taken things in my own hands, I felt better about things somehow. Perhaps it was just after trying to figure things out it seemed less impossible. There's one final test though, and that's where I headed after dinner. Okay, so let's see. I had my notebook in hand and flipped through the pages as I stood in front of the keypad. Almost a week ago, Roswell and I were right here trying to piece together something. He tried a whole bunch of words, but nothing. I reached over and typed in each of our names. Nothing. I then tried the old passwords again to see if there's any change, and again, they weren't what I was after either. So what do I know about the vault? Sometimes talking out loud helps, getting all your thoughts in one place and just laying everything out. No one else was down here as far as I could tell, and I even closed the door to the room I was standing in. Oswald said the vault worked through trauma. That's right. The vault brings up memories of traumatic events, apparently. Stuff that I'd apparently survived through. Might narrow down the list of things this could be then, but still. Looking at my notebook, I went through everything that had happened so far today. Not really much in the way of solid leads or even anything remotely coming to mind as far as who was behind it, except for one thing. What if... Sal. He was outside the entrance to the library for some reason. But why was he there? Was he just a harmless wanderer, or did someone send him there? I do know that he went to bed after I told him to go, so maybe that counts as a suggestion? Even then, what's the worst he could do? I shook my head. That wasn't enough to go off with just that alone. I needed something more. Maybe I think about what the other passwords had in common, which would then mean, is there a pattern? There had to be, but what? Was it a cause of death, or was it the type of word? It's strange to think about any common thread to predict the next one. Maybe the pattern was little too obscure for me to be figuring out with what I had so far. Staring at the keypad wasn't helping. I had to put something in to at least get me started. What was the worst thing I could think of? What was the worst that could happen? Breathing in deep, I reached out to input something. I'd been through it a couple of times before, and the moment I heard the chime, I braced for the worst. Maybe bracing for it's the worst thing I could have done as a sharp pain coursed through my head. As it flashed in front of my eyes, I gulped. It was. I didn't want to have succeeded in finding the password, but the fact I did felt bittersweet. It was Sal, somehow. Sleepwalking maybe, but I knew where I needed to go next. I came to on the floor of the vault. My head was spinning as if I'd just been thrown about the room for a few minutes. How long had I been out for? How long had it been? Was it too late to intervene? Scrambling to my feet, I tore out of the room and headed upstairs in search of Sal. Sal! Calling out of the floor, I hoped he'd hear, or anyone would hear for that matter. It echoed off the walls, but no response. Was it too late? Grabbing my phone in my pocket, I checked the time. It wasn't too late in the evening. If I'd seen was any indication, there was still time before. Sal, where are you? Do I want to know why you shouted in the middle of the foyer? Hoss, where's Sal? Hold up there, Dave. Why do you want to know? He's going to kill someone. Excuse me? The vault. Have you seen him or not? Upstairs, I think, with Dean. I turned away from Hoss and bolted upstairs, continuing to call out for Sal. Sal! What? I looked to what he held in his hand, a small container of medicine. It's you. What's him? In the vault, I saw you. What are you doing right now? Okay, so I think you should stop yelling, then... I whined, shuffling anxiously on the spot while Dean placed a hand on my shoulder. No, what happened? Massacre. Sal's going to... I replayed the events of the day in my head, thinking back to everything I'd learned with my eyes settling on the medicine in Sal's hand. What's that, Sal? Medicine? Sleeping medication, yes. Technically it's mine, but I don't know. Sal sometimes asks for it to help him sleep. But why? After everything we talked about today, I wouldn't mind just getting some decent sleep. What if taking the medicine makes it worse? How would taking medicine make things worse? What kind of medicine is it again, Dean? Bear tranquilizers. Oh, I think I see the problem. The three of us were left in silence with Sal's grip on the medicine tightening slightly. Sal? With a sigh, he pushed the container back to Dean, shaking his head. What do I do? I only wanted... Dean and I looked at one another, uncertain. I'm sorry, I wanted to... Sal shuddered and I wondered if he was crying despite seeing no tears. Hey, it's alright, Sal. You'll be okay. I can't really say I know what's going on, but... I'm sorry, it's my fault. I don't know. I guess I just didn't want anything like Benson to happen. Well, at the very least, bringing it up is a better thing than just bottling it up. Still, if you saw a thing, then I guess we can, Dave. Yeah? I'm sorry if you thought I... He shuddered and lumbered past me almost in a daze. Sal, come back. Dean, Save it. You meant well, right? Of course. Well, I trust that at least. Just let me deal with Sal and hopefully things will be alright in the morning. Dean stepped in and gave me a quick hug. Good night, Dave. I watched as Dean left, unsure if I'd done the right thing after all. On one hand, I wasn't sure if this was a case of me having stopped what I saw happening, or if my intervention had just ensured it was going to happen. Still, I did all I could do. Would Dad have been proud? I wanted to feel proud, but something was nagging at me and I'd done something bad. Maybe it was just the cost of trying to keep everyone alive. I made my way to my bedroom and ran my hands through my fur. I was tired and at a loss as to how I was feeling. Had I done the right thing by Sal? By everyone? The longer I stood before my bed, the more I felt I'd done something bad. Either way, I was exhausted. I fell back onto my bed with a sigh, scratching my belly. It was about time I took a shower and freshened up. As the water washed over me, I felt stiff in my wrist from where Roswell had tied me up. Even as I massaged them, it took a bit to get them feeling normal. It's a wonder I got through dinner without feeling it sooner. Sighing out, I let the hot water run over my head and seep into my fur. I started to feel a little better about where things had ended up. When I was done, then came the blow drying. The towel around my waist, I dried myself off while I continued to think things over. I was quickly interrupted when I heard someone wandering around my room. Roswell? Hello? What are you doing here? Oh, just checking in. What's wrong? You see, I'm guessing something's wrong. Well, nothing major really. I just saw Sal upset when he's talking with Dean, so I don't know, something made me want to check in with you. But why me? I mean, sure, it's probably my fault, but still. And here you're asking me what's wrong. What did you do to Sal? Oh, it's vault related. What did you do? What happened? I did it. I went to the vault and got it working again. I saw Sal and, well, I guess telling him didn't go so well. You told him? Jeez, I hope he's alright. But if you're doing what you think is right, I'm sure it'll turn out fine. You think so? Well, of course, given the alternative there really wasn't an option here. Right? I guess so. Well, if it makes you feel any better, just make an effort to talk to him about it tomorrow. If you're not going to get very far thinking about it now. Dean said he'd handled it anyway, so I guess so. I'm still allowed to feel bad about it though, right? Oh, absolutely, but don't let it consume you. I'll try. Well, good thing I'm here to keep you company tonight, though. Wait, really? Oh, yeah, I could spend the night in my own bed if you prefer, but I liked last night. I wouldn't mind doing it again. I chuckled, shaking my head. Yeah, okay, you win. I wandered over to hit the light, and in the dark, changing into some fresh underwear while facing away from the bed. When I turned back around, Roswell was already under the covers, mostly under the blanket, but still getting comfortable. Come on, Dave, bedtime. I wandered over and got into the bed beside him. No sooner than I'd done so, Roswell and I rolled to face one another. Your bed's a lot comfier than mine. I reckon I'll sleep well tonight. They're the same bed, aren't they? Although, if I'm being honest, I don't remember much after the sugar crash. Well, that's a lot less crumbs for starters. That's entirely on you, though. If you didn't snack so much in bed, you wouldn't have this problem. I reckon I could ask Benson to deal with it for me? Maybe, although I don't know how well that'd go down if you asked him that every day. You got a point there. Roswell rolled onto his back, staring at the ceiling. Is it time for sleep? Not just yet. Let me just enjoy this for a little while longer. Just laying in bed. Yeah. To be honest, it's going to suck when we all move away to do our own thing, you know? You might go off and do something, I'll go study something in a good school, Orlando will open his bakery somewhere, Us will make it big somewhere else. So little things like this, moments we're not going to get again. I guess so. I guess that part for me hasn't really sunk in yet. Really? Not even a little. I guess I'm still hoping that when this month is over we can all go home and then in a couple of days do it all again by having pizza. Pizza? Is that your go-to for feeding a bunch of people? Well, it doesn't really matter to me what we eat or what we do, but if it's together I think that'd be cool. What if one of us couldn't go? Would it still be worth it? Well, it'd suck I guess, that whoever can't come is missing out, but I guess that's just how things are sometimes. Alright. He gestured with his hands while he spoke, flourishing his statement by giving me a broad grin. We can make up for it with snacks, or we can have them there in spirit somehow, right? No matter how far any of us may go, we're still going to be friends. I gave him a wry smile, holding back a chuckle. Even Tyson? Well, yeah, even Tyson. I hadn't expected that and I did a double take, somewhat confused. It's strange, right? The person I see now isn't the same person I saw back then. I know that, but being around so gives me that fight or flight response. It just makes me want to see what's familiar. But it's not unfair. People can change. Right. But it's more than that. That familiarity is comforting. It's safe if you know what to expect. It makes things less terrifying, if that makes sense. But this guy's a stranger that carries all of those flinch reactions I have towards the Tyson I remember. If he's as good as you say he is, then, well, we'll give him a chance. One maybe. I'm still deciding. Possibly. He yawned, setting me off as well. Hey, I'm getting kind of tired, so I think it'd be alright if we cuddled. Oh, yeah, I'm always down for cuddling. Well, thanks. I'm a little cold is all. He shuffled in closer and we got comfortable, me resting my head atop his and him snuffling around against the fur on my chest. I gently scratched and rubbed his shoulders until he was asleep, snoring softly against me, and before long I was out like a light too.